CHAMP stands for Culturally Helping and Making Positive Success. And of course, we have to continue the dialogue. We have to continue the conversation. I heard a little bit earlier, like, why we keep having these conversations? Why we not continuing to have these conversations? Until we all win, we're going to continue to voice concerns, solutions to move our village forward. So I have the privilege and honor, and I never get tired of introducing my brother, the endurer, Reverend Briscoe. He's co-hosting with me tonight, moderating the conversation to push this conversation forward. He's about to come on, but before he do, let me give a quick shout out to all of the panelists who joined us last week. That's right, man. We had some amazing panelists to join us last week. We had Brother Jermaine Anderson from I Am a Gentleman. Man, we had a phenomenal turnout yesterday at Chicago Police Headquarters with the Cry series, and having young men get up from the Male Mogul Initiative. Walter Mendenhall shouting you out, brother. It was great to see these young men talk about solutions, how they think, how they approach, what they see, what they're feeling. And then, of course, other programs like Firehouse. And it was good to see my brother Corey Hardeman from Hope Dealers out there, Damian Howard, who moderated a powerful conversation. And all of these brothers have been on this platform in town halls. So we can work together. We can come together, unite, and solve these problems. But the thing that touched my heart was when I saw, right, they brought out a small casket, and they walked through to show the itty bitty size of this casket of these kids being murdered in our city. It must stop. So we continue, right, to come together, galvanize resources and solutions to deal with the problems at hand. So again, thank you, Brother Jermaine, for your leadership. Thank you for the partnership. Also, Jamal Bogle, who's working out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, my old stomping grounds. Worked at Kip Tulsa as an assistant principal there, and Jamal, he was out there, and he added some powerful points and tips. And then Joshua Morris, who's worked as a police officer, Army man, and he added to the conversation. And then Demetrius Underwood, one of our original CHAMPS members, Gary Comer, college prep alumni, he definitely brought in a whole different spin on just like, hey, let's not forget about those that don't have a voice. So he brought that to the conversation. And then it was moderated by Brandon Pope from WCIU and Channel 26 Chicago. Man, he just came and he did what he do. So again, I just want to give a shout out to all of the brothers who continue to add their voice. We up to about 60 men in 10 weeks of adding their voice to this conversation. So thank you so much. Now, without further ado, my main man, the endurer, Tony Briscoe.
In loving memory of Demario Bailey, Josephine Baker, you must get an education. You must go to school, and you must learn to protect yourself. And you must learn to protect yourself with a pen and not a gun. Yesterday, while I was at church with my family celebrating the birth of Christ, I received a message from my school saying another student lost his life. And this time, as most in the inner city, it was black on black, which doubly makes it whack on whack. How do 4 black men look at someone's 15-year-old son and decide to rob him and end his life with a gun? And while some were down on a magnificent mile showing unity, Satan came in again and cut down the life of a 15-year-old in our community. No doubt these men were bastard child. No dad, no brains, no sense, no hope. They grew up as a hazard child. And how can I tell a mother God blesses the child that has their own when she questions is she still blessed now that her child is gone? What can I say to his mother? Or what can I say to his twin brother? What can I say to his teammates whom he has to see this way? What can I say to his teachers who encouraged him to be all he can be? What can I say to his classmates who will no longer feel safe on the streets? What can I say to 20-year politicians that have brought no change we see? Hold fast, trust God, it's life, it's hard. Hold fast, trust God, it's life, it's hard. Be angry, but don't let it break you. Be angry, but don't let it make you. Be confused, but don't let it blind you. Be depressed, but don't let it bind you. Be scared, but don't let it hold you. Be furious, but don't let it mold you. Be heated, but don't let it control you. Open your heart. Let God console you. I can sing God bless the child that's got his own, but what can I say to a mother whose child is now gone? What can I say to his family? What can I say to his advisor? What can I say to his brother who questions why he was the survivor? What can I say to conservatives that live in a world of rich hope? What can I say to Democrats that constantly pimp the black vote? And what can I say to these students whose tears I cannot dry, whose questions I cannot answer, why DeMario had to die? And what can I say to his teachers who encouraged him to be all he could be? What can I say to 20-year-old politicians that have brought no change that we see? Be hurt, but don't let it break you. Be angry, but don't let it make you. Be confused, but don't let it blind you. Be depressed, but don't let it bind you. Be scared, but don't let it hold you. Be furious, but don't let it mold you. Be heated, but don't let it control you. Open your heart and let God console you. It's life. It's hard. Hold fast. Trust God. It's life. It's hard. Hold fast. Trust God. You must get an education. You must go to school. You must learn to protect yourself. And you must learn to protect yourself with the pen and not with the gun. Josephine Baker. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another night of hard conversations for necessary transformations in our CHAMPS virtual town hall. It is always an honor to stand before the people of Chicago and the people of the world so we can share the other side of the narrative of Chicago that's not necessarily always displayed in the media. And in order to do that story, we continue to bring people to the table from out of state, hopefully soon from out of the country, who can come on and share their stories of the work that they're doing, the passion that they have, and the lives that they're working to change. So first, I'd like to bring in for an introduction, and we'll flow from him over to Royce Jones and over to Darryl Cooke. But for now, I would like for Dionne Sampson to come on and introduce himself to the people and welcome you to the CHAMPS virtual town hall.
Well, thank you for the welcome, Reverend Briscoe. First, I'm honored to be amongst these great men. My name is Dionne Sampson. I am from Dayton, Ohio, currently an educator, but my greatest joy is being a community servant and advocate. I've been serving our community for over 23 years, and serving community is what I do. It's what I breathe. It's what I sleep. It's what I eat. And when I can't do that, my life is miserable. So I'm glad to be a part of this conversation with some awesome men who are doing work as well.
Thank you. And no stranger to us is Mr. Royce Jones. Mr. Royce, come and tell the people who you are, introduce yourself and the work that you do, sir.
Man, I'm blessed to be on here. Man, this is much needed. So again, my name is Royce Jones. I'm a mental health coach. I reside out of Lansing, Michigan. I am finishing my master's program in clinical mental health counseling. I serve in my community. I am a board member with NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, and I am a personal mental health coach. So again, I'm happy to be here and happy to add value, man.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to say this name myself because I like the name of my brother's organization, Minds Over Nines. Darryl Cooke, talk to the people. Did we lose Darryl? Okay, well, Darryl's going to come back in. He is no stranger to us either. And so while he's working that out, we are going to keep this moving and open up the discussion. I want to pose a question that I always do in the beginning. And that question is, after a conversation with a couple of Chicago public schools teachers, with a conversation today with a parent, they are concerned not about just the defunding of police. They are concerned about pulling police out of schools because they believe They want police officers there because they believe it'll help their children stay safe. I would like you gentlemen to respond to that statement.
I'll go ahead and go, man. So when you think about police are there in an emergency situation. They always come in an emergency situation. So if the police are there, then in a kid's mind, it's like, I must need protection from something, or maybe I'm the one who's not safe. So when you think about that, I mean, that's an environment. That's an environment where these kids are living in almost like a prison.
That's good. That's good, Royce. That's psychological warfare, would you say?
Yes, it is. It is. And so if they're already in this mindset of, I'm unsafe and this environment is unsafe, kids normally model what they see, what they hear, all of those things. And their environment is what makes them who they are.
Wow. Excellent. 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 Dionne Sampson, as the work in the community, how do you respond to parents who have the same amount of concerns? How do you respond to them?
I would agree with Brother Jones. So, especially in schools, being an educator myself, that when you spend more time focusing on changing the culture and the climate, because it's more work, you got to invest more to build relationships to help change cultures and climates. So it's easy to just give it off to the police because it's easy. So as it relates to the community, the same as it's the same is true in the community. We got to work on building relationships. Relationships are what transforms lives. It is getting to know what is going on in the lives of young people, our next door neighbor. I remember growing up, we knew our neighbors. Now it's like you're afraid to go to your next door neighbor. I remember, you come to the house, you ask for eggs and sugar, and be like, this ain't the grocery store. Now it's like you don't even speak anymore. So we have to change this culture and climate of building relationships, because relationships police. We don't need police to police. We can take care of our own community. We are known for doing that, and we got to get back to that. So I understand the concern. But we have to invest in those relationships, and we have to put people in our schools that have the passion. You can't teach passion. You can't teach heart. You can't go to school and get a degree in any of that. If you don't already have that, you're not going to make a difference in the school anyway. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say before I go on a tangent. But we definitely need to go back into relationships.
All right. Yeah, we're going on tangents tonight. Darryl Cooke, please introduce yourself to the people so we can keep this moving, man. Talk to them about your organization, and let's get the questions. And please, we're inviting everyone who's watching us on social media to please ask any question to our panelists. We're going to make time tonight to be able to answer those questions and dig into some of your comments as well. So thank you all for being here.
Absolutely, brother. Real quick, I apologize to you, the panel, and everyone in attendance listening and viewing today. When you're trying to do real work like this is actually a great lesson to have for everybody to be able to view, because we can set it up and plan it perfectly, talk good, and we actually have something happen right in that moment. But it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. And I'm responding with a vengeance right now. So thank you for having me back here. My name is author and national speaker Darryl Cooke. I'm the founder of the Minds Over Nines Gun Violence Prevention Program, brother man. I work side by side with a lot of organizations in Chicago, New Era Chicago, CHAMPS Mentoring, UNIA, anybody that's for the upliftment of our youth, and understand that once we finish talking, the work ain't done. We still got to put boots on the ground there. So who is D. Cooke? I'm a child of God, and I got to say that. Bro, because I remember I didn't used to add that in there, and I need to add that in there, bro, because we get a source of energy from there. I'm a son. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a husband, and I'm a Black man in America, bro. I'm a Black man in America, and I'm upright, independent, and fearless, and I'm ready to talk about it. Let's go, family.
Well, we're going to kick it off with you. Darryl, why is it important for you to develop a gun violence prevention program?
So most of the people that know my story know like how truthful I am, how open I am. Every time I open my mouth and I talk about all the successes I had in my life, I try to make sure I tell and let people know about the failures I had in my life. So people can use a measuring stick to understand where they are now so that they don't look at themselves with a low self-esteem set, bro. They can look at themselves and be like, okay, if that brother went through this, I went through it. So when you ask me, like, why was it important to create this gun violence prevention program? It's because I remember the things that tripped me up in my society, bro. Real quick, I call them my 4 Fs. Things that I was ready to give my life for, Briscoe. Ready to give my life for my fiance, my finances, my friends, and my family. And for me, bro, I didn't have a guidance source there that could connect with me like my brother was just talking about right now, like Sampson was talking about relationships. Bro, that's the reason why I cling on to Principal Vondale Singleton, bro, because his personality, his understanding about how important and significant relationships are, bro. He brought me in, man, and treated me like a son, man, that he had all his life. And I respect him for that, bro. So it's my duty. It's my responsibility. If I make a mistake, which I did, which was in gun violence, and I almost put my son in a position to where he would have lost his father and his mother because I couldn't control my temper and I didn't know how to deal with rejection. If I had a mentor or somebody right there in that place that could break it down for me and be like, hey, young brother, I know you was raised up by the hood in the Chi. I know you grew up in Austin. I know you grew up in K-Town. I know you grew up in Avalon. I know you from the Wild Hunters, but I promise you, bro, Briscoe, you said something earlier. You said the pen, well, Josephine Baker with the poem that you read, which is a powerful piece. Yes. Said the pen is more stronger than that gun. And if that's true, then my mind has to be more powerful than my nine. And that's the reason that I had to come up with a gun violence prevention program, bro. So I can stop a brother from falling prey to those 4 Fs. The things where we willing to give our life over because of male expectation.
Yeah, I remember when Ice-T was making his shift, I don't want to say away from music, but he was just trying to give a different message out. And he wrote this song that said, my lethal weapons, my mind. And so when I think of minds over nines, I think about even Ice-T and the transition that he was starting to make away from just the rap game, you know, but just still trying to make sure that he said something positive and something of influence. So thank you for sharing that. Dion, how can spirituality help minority youth build resiliency and cope with traumatic experiences?
So spirituality, I believe that it is definitely, especially now in this time, it builds resilience. We are resilient people, period. But this spirituality component to it allows me to understand that what I'm going through has absolutely nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the people that I'm going to meet, and I am just a conduit of being able to show people on this journey that I made it, and I'm that hope. I'm that example, that living example of what is possible if you just stay resilient. It builds resilience. Everything that I've been through has worked together for my good. It has made me a better person because of it. I grew up without my dad, met him at the first time at 35 years old. And all of my life, I have become what I've never had. That's amazing to me. And to have 4 kids that I walk in the door every day, to be something to them that I've never had. But I understand that the absence of him made me who I am today. It made me resilient. It gives me the ability to be that living example of hope. that tells people no matter what you're going through right now, I'm an example. I've been there. I've done that. And if you believe anything that come out of my mouth, believe that better is coming for you too. That you're resilient. We worry a lot about young people, but what I've learned about young people in education for 23 years, young people are resilient.
Resilient.
They are
Yes.
resilient. They don't need your sympathy. Just give them the tools to keep fighting.
Come on,
and
bro.
you got to be in their corner and say, hey, I believe in you. You messed up yesterday. You messed up on Monday, but today is Tuesday. I'm believing that Tuesday is going to be better than Monday.
Yeah.
And they will ride that wave because they know that somebody believes in them. They're resilient. Some of the stuff that our young people are going through, we did not have to go through that. They're already resilient.
Yeah.
And so I believe that spirituality piece makes you better because when everybody else bails on you, there's this inner strength that you recognize there's greater in me, there's greater for me, and I'm going to be greater because of it. Yeah, that's all I got for you.
That's great.
Yes,
Royce, I'm going to pivot to you because in Vondale Singleton's interview earlier with Cheryl Burton said something very profound that is not new. Everybody who says it, I think, is profound. She said that in the Black community, we have been conditioned to pray the pain away, to pray the problems away. I really want you to take your time breaking down the danger of keeping emotions inside and how important is mental health and our success of transforming not just our young people, because when you have a 31-year-old man shooting a 7-year-old, that's not young, that's an adult. So it's not just about young people here who we're trying to reach, right? There's a demographic of adults who are 40 and 50 years old who are still gangbanging because they never got the nurturing that Brother Sampson talked about. They never got the understanding of how to control their emotions that Brother Cooke talked about. How important is our mental health, and how can we erase this stigma in the Black community that I got it, I'm good?
Brother, Bible says be angry, but sin not. So what that's essentially saying is it's okay to have emotion. It's okay to be angry, but how do you use the anger? How do you control the anger? Jesus was on the cross, man, and right before he said, if at all possible, take this cup from me. So he had some emotions, and our emotions, our feelings carry energy. And if God created us to have emotion, we would not know love without sadness. I mean, he said it, weep with those who weep, mourn with those who mourn. Those are all emotions. Those are all feelings.
Yes.
He created Adam and he said, you know what? It's not good that man should be alone. So let me create Eve. And so that's a companion. That's so that, we can't do this thing alone. And not just that, yes, let's pray, but let's deal with the things in your life. Let's deal with the deep rooted issues. Like, okay, your father wasn't there. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, the challenges you face on a daily basis. Don't just suppress those feelings because they're not going anywhere. None of it is going anywhere. And until you fully process those things, until you talk those things out, that's the only way that you're going to get the healing that you need. And as far as men, like, we're conditioned to just suppress everything and we're good. But that's not natural.
It's not natural. I love that.
It's not natural.
It's not normal. It's
not
abnormal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And we know time and time again what happens when we suppress our feelings, when we suppress our emotions. It's like, I want to say, compound interest. It just builds until we erupt. And I'll give you an example. Let's say the night before you should have filled up your tank, but you didn't fill up your tank for whatever reason. So you get up in the morning and then now you have to go fill up your tank before you get to work. And then now you get on the freeway, somebody cuts you off. So you're angry at that. You get to work, and then you had a deadline that you missed. So you're angry with that. And then you get home, dinner's not made. And so you're upset with that. And then finally, you just go off on your wife and your kids. So that's like compound interest. Those feelings, those things, those situations, like that's not something you just pray away. Excuse me, it's fine to pray, and you should, but we still have to get to the root cause of those issues. Like for me, like my father, you know, was one that was abusive. That was an issue. Both my brother and I grew up in the same household. I dealt with my pain and my trauma differently than he did. And now he is in prison because of it, because he couldn't deal with it. He didn't know how to manage that.
Yeah.
And the stigma around mental health is that if you say mental health, it's about someone who is the mental illness side versus the mental health side. And the mental health side is maintaining a balance. It's how you relate to yourself. Mm-hmm. It's how you relate to the experience on a daily basis, because this is called life.
Yeah.
So again, pray, but when you need to seek help, when you feel like that anxiety is building up, your depression is building up, when you feel like, man, I need to, I can't deal with this, so I'm going to drink. I can't deal with this, so I'm going to smoke. I can't deal with this, so I'm going to binge eat. Mm-hmm. You know, all of those things are not dealing with the root issue. And so we got to get to a place where we start talking about it on a daily basis, like table conversations about those feelings and those things that we're holding in, because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. You know, I have a buddy who works with men at the Safer Foundation, and he says that when they finish his program, like grown men been in prison 15 years are crying because it was the first time somebody ever invested in them in their life. And I've got some social emotional work to do for them, you know, as well in the future. But I want to pose this question because it's often, oh, our young people are doing this, our young people are doing that. Why are we not reaching them? Why is the game more appealing than the church or the mosque that are in our communities? Brother Darryl?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I'll go ahead and jump right in, bro. So the first thing that pops into my mind right now when you ask me that question, right? I think about this quote from my brother Glenn Martin in New York from the Just Leadership Program. And it says that those who are closest to the problem are closest to the solution, right? And so when keeping that in mind, and you ask me, like, why are we not getting through to the youth? You know, and I do believe that the reason for that is that we are trying to prepare a meal for them without asking them what they got to taste for. And what I mean by that is that you can't just come in and say, this is how it should look. This is how it should go. You don't know what's going on out there, bro. You don't know the new slang. You don't know the new lingo. You don't, kid and play dance ain't out no more. That's over with. They ain't doing the WAP no more. There's some new stuff out there, bro, right? They ain't at you no more, all right? They in the club doing some whole different dances on some whole different songs. So when you try to design a program for someone, we have to realize that that type of approach is the same type of approach that an oppressor would use. By making a determination for you about what it should be. I'm telling you, the reason I hang around Principal Vondale Singleton, I'm telling you, the reason I hang around him is because he understands that you have to get them involved. When you look at CHAMPS mentoring, the reason that it's successful is because, and hear me when I say this, oh, please hear me. If you're a leader, hear what I'm about to say. The reason that Principal Vondale Singleton is successful is because he knows how to get out the way. And he delegate. You go there. You go do this. You do that. Now, look at me. I'm on here. I hosted for Eric Thomas. I would have never got the opportunity to host for E.T. the hip hop preacher if it wasn't for this brother seeing the skill and putting me in place. Tony Briscoe is moderating today, bro. Starting off with cold pieces. Josephine Baker leading us. That brother puts men in position. And it's not, if I'm excited like this, how you think a 13, 14, 15-year-old feels? I'm going to give you one story and analogy about what we need to do and why it's so important to bring them in. This is why it's important. I've been to Gary Comer Youth Center so many times. I walked up there one time. Principal Singleton was inside the classroom. They were going over the CHAMPS mantra. They were going over all the work, and they were just making sure that everybody get it. They want to make sure that everybody got their CHAMPS all in. You know what I'm saying? They want to make sure that everybody know, you know what I'm saying? It's a setup for success. And there was one guy who didn't get it yet, right? And it was like 30 guys in the room. This is how you have to be. Principal Singleton was like, yo, I need you to hold this class down for me. I'm gonna go back here with my man. We'll be back when we get it. And they left that class, bro. And they came back in 10 minutes. Principal Singleton said, salute. And that young brother came to the front of the class and led that demonstration. That's how you reach young people, by engaging them and giving them the keys to the beamer, man. Don't nobody want to sit in the back or nowhere.
So, Brother Sampson, I got to bring this back to you because you talked about community. So I want you to lead off where Darryl just ended. Our communities, no block clubs, some block clubs, inconsistent. What does it take for the community to feel safe and transform block by block?
I think one of the disconnects for me is that we refuse to create a succession plan. And succession, our young people, Brother Cooke said it, they have the skill, they have the answer, but because it doesn't look like or sound like what we're used to, we continue to push them away. So what do? They go and create something else. And then they take over the block by block by block in a negative manner because we never let them be free to be the creatives that they are. And so one thing we have to do is we got to get out of the way to let them lead. We don't have to tell them they got to be 50 and 60 before they can step up and lead. We recognize that in what's going on in our society now. Young people want to lead. They got the passion. They have the voice. And for so long, when you keep people quiet, they become angry, right? So the community, if we just create this plan to let them be vocal, let them. One thing Brother Cooke said that I thought was amazing: you can't invite me to eat and you not ask me, do I like this or do I like that? Because I'm gonna just sit and watch, right? Churches, and I'm gonna say this and probably get in trouble. Churches are the only thing right now that are not keeping up with the time. And this is going to sound wrong, but I thank God for this COVID-19 experience because people who once said it could not be done had no choice but to do it.
Come on,
so now we're in a position where all of the creatives are creating. But if they would have had to wait for the older generation to give them permission, they would be sitting in a church, in a pew, or in a community on the porch in rocking chairs saying, I wish I would have done this. But now they're out there doing it because they don't have a choice now, right? So I think the thing that we need to do with our communities is empower young people, millennials, to have this voice and push them, support them, and provide the platforms for them. That's one thing I love about Vondale. It's like I've never met him face to face, but I follow him. I watch, I glean from what he's doing. And I think that is amazing to me because Brother Cooke said it again. He knows how to just back up. I don't need a spotlight. Let me be stage crew. Just as long as the show go on. I'm cool with being behind the scene. I'm cool with closing the curtain. I'm cool with serving water. I just need to make sure that what we see is taking place. And I don't care who lead it. It just needs to get done.
Yeah.
Okay.
and Mr. Singleton, let us know if any questions are coming in out there, any statements that we can address. You can throw them in chat, and I'll present them to the team that's here. What I want to ask you, gentlemen, is because we have to realize that policy plays a big role in the condition of our communities. One thing you said, Brother Sampson, and I'll take the hit for saying it the way I'm gonna say it. And we have politicians, and I'm not dealing with Republicans. I want to talk straight to the Democratic Party. It's not to call them out or single them out, but we literally have politicians who've been in office 20, 30 plus years who consistently get voted back in, and our block hasn't changed. Now, I understand that it's not their role. Like they're there to manage, right? They're managers in essence, right? So it's kind of the people's job to do what they have to do on their block. But when you don't have the support of the system of politics that happens, when you consistently have policies being made, like let's make no mistake, taxes are coming from the state level and from the city level, but people are still losing jobs due to COVID. Some people have had pay raises, some people haven't. Some people are getting laid off. I want to put some accountability on politicians where it belongs, because as far as I'm concerned, if you are a United States congressman that has been in office for 20 plus years, if you are an alderman who've been in office for 20 plus years, if you are the Speaker of the House in Illinois and you've been in office for 40 plus years, but the communities of those who are impoverished and in poverty and are packed in is not changing, you need to be out of the way. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, bro. So you're right and exact. If I can just go ahead and jump in and respond to that, bro. Like when you talk about that arena, like this is what I know, bro. I think that piece is the piece that pushed me to the like academia arena as well. And I said, because you know what, I got to know what's going on down here. Like I know what I want in my community.
Yes.
But the law doesn't match up to that. So every time I got to go out the house, I got to fight to defend it to get it. And it should be given to me, right, bro? So you spoke of some of the like the Congress and people who sit in those positions, and you spoke of the aldermen too. So I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna base it like right here in Chicago and just like work from this point of view, right? Like we talked earlier about like times changing and moving forward, right? And this is no knock, you know, like you said, bro. I don't want to knock because our ancestors, our older brothers and sisters,
absolutely, we love them.
They have a position in our community,
and we love them.
And they have a position, they have a role. But one of those roles that the seniors and elders and people who have been in whatever position, one of the roles that they have is the model to someone younger so that that position will be filled when they move. This is what happened to us. Think about what happened after Barack Obama left. We didn't prepare.
While he was in office.
Yeah, while he was in office, we should have been grooming. We should have been grooming. If that was Jackie Robinson, we should have been grooming Willie Mays.
Come on.
You feel what I'm saying, bro?
Come on. Yes, sir.
And we didn't do that. And so this is the result of what's taking place right now, bro. And I'm saying we got so many brothers. Man, I don't want to single nobody, but I mean, we know, we brothers in Chicago, I mean, from the Davises to the Rushes, 30 years, 40 years in the office. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying, do you know who's ready to take your position, bro? Because if you did, that could be that small, still voice that's leading and guiding you in which direction to go now. Remember, we don't prepare the meals for them without asking them, what would they like? You want fish chicken? Which one you want, bro? You know what I'm saying? So if you've been in a position that long, and people say that, when they run for positions, they like, well, what do we say about your record? I've been doing this for 30 years. And we still in this position? So we have to understand that change is not linear. This is bigger than all of us, bro. Change is circular. This is the 400 meter relay. You got to let that baton go, bro. You got to let that baton go and pass it to somebody else and be counsel for our young people. Be counsel. You know what I'm saying? I hate to take it fictitious now, but the first thing that's popping into my mind is Wakanda. You know, Black Panther, the most powerful man in the land. But even he was lost for answers. And when he was lost for answers, what did he do? He returned and talked to the ancestors, and they told him what to do. And that's who our seniors in our community need to be for us.
And when his ancestors were stagnant, he told them what they shouldn't have done and what he was going to do moving forward.
You're absolutely right. And that's what the brother said, like, what if them young people would be waiting for somebody to give them permission to go out there and be great? What if? You know? So yeah, I agree with him, you know, because, you know, I'm glad the pandemic hit too. You know why? Because necessity is the mother of invention. I need it, and I'm about to go out here and get it. And I think we waking up as a whole. We waking up as a whole. You know, brother, I be out with my people, man, and I don't want to talk too long because there's a lot of us, but I be out with my New Era Chicago family. And you talking about like what these guys need out here, man. And I'm telling you, bro, we meet up like 62nd and Carpenter, 79th in Maryland, and we walking, boots on the ground, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm outside, bro. I'm outside with my guys, man. You know what I'm saying? Now, they've been doing it for the last 5 or 6 years. I knew I wasn't doing enough, you know, because I know if everybody do a little, nobody got to do a lot. But, bro, I'm telling you, when we walk down those streets and I see those young brothers and sisters, we walked down the block, man, there was a young girl out there, and I know her mom told her not to ever hug strangers. But when we came down that block and she heard us say, how y'all feel? And we say, powerful. How y'all feel? Powerful. What type of power you got? And we say, Black power? That little girl looked at us, man, and she ran and she gave us a hug because she knew she was safe, because she knew that was something different from what she hear every day. Grandmothers come out holding a robe with one hand, saying, baby, I ain't seen this since the 60s. I love y'all. We have to be involved, bro. What they need us. They need mentors. And we need the political people that's in position, aldermen and the congressmen, like you said, to invite young people to the table, just like Vondale and them did yesterday. Invite them young people to the table and utilize their freaking ideas.
Absolutely.
Man, if I could speak to that, man.
Yeah, Royce, I want you to speak to it, but I also want you to speak about, so think about the potential mental shift. The young lady, when she went and hugged him, think about the potential mental health shift when a grandmother comes out and says, I haven't seen this since the 60s. We're talking 40 plus years. What does that look like? Along with your response, please.
Yeah, man. So I'll say accountability on both ends, on the politicians and on the community. Like we need to, like we can't expect them to come up with an answer. Like we expect them to come up with an answer for us. They don't even live in our neighborhood.
Facts.
So how do we expect them to come up with some type of solution?
Facts.
So what we need to do is we need to come together and talk about this thing. And when we talk about it and we come up with a solution, now we take it to them and hold them accountable to bring that solution to pass. It's like that. I mean, the politicians are elected by the people for the people, right? So if we're not doing our job, then they're not going to do theirs. So we have to have our accountability for ourselves. And then when we have accountability and when we come up with solutions, now we can take those solutions to them. And then also with the education, we need to also have start grooming those people, those young men, those young women to become the politicians, to put them in the seat of power. Because we probably got only 1% of the politicians are African-American. So because we don't see us in that seat, then it's like, oh no, I couldn't do that. No, you can and you should.
That's right.
Because our ancestry is that. It's just a different culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when we start to see, an older woman hugging a younger woman, or an older man hugging a younger man, it starts to instill hope.
Yeah.
It starts to instill resiliency. It starts to say, well, you know what? you know what, now we can change. We can really change this thing, because one thing about Christianity is that Christianity is not attractive. Why? Because why am I going to serve a God when you still living as bad as I am? So it's the same way when it comes to like hope, man. Like they have to see us living our best life. They have to see us, you know, in these power positions and in these positions in the community, in these positions in our church, in these positions with our career, in these positions with our entrepreneurship. When they start to see us in these positions, then they're like, oh, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Why? Because they don't have anything to go off of. Like our history, our background, where we are from, who knows that? Because it's been erased. And so now they need to go off of what they see.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, education, empowerment, and exposure. That's what CHAMPS lives by. It's real vital. Brother Sampson, come on and tell us.
Hey, before we go, we do have a question from our YouTube audience. And the question comes from Wade OC2. And the question is, how do we reestablish a code of conduct amongst our youth? How do we reestablish a code of conduct amongst our youth?
Brother Sampson, give some thought to that. Come right in.
All right. I think you reestablish the code of conduct with our youth when you reestablish the code of conduct with the elders. I think that I'm amazed, you know, as we were growing up, we've never seen men, when we grew up, men were never afraid to encounter young men. Now we have young men that older men are afraid to even interact with. So we have to change that code of conduct. The same help that we received, we are obligated to give that same help to this generation. It may look different. It definitely may sound different, but it is absolutely needed. You know, when you have the older people, hanging out and trying to be young again, the young people are confused by what code of conduct to follow. When you have the older people trying to beat the system and hit a lick here and get this here, and how they treat women and how they treat men, they're confused about what code of conduct to follow. So in order to get the young people's code of conduct back intact, we got to get our code of conduct back intact.
Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Darryl, before you speak, I want you to go in with this quote from the hip hop artist Nas. How can our elders judge us? Most of our elders failed us. Talk to me.
Ooh-wee. So by going right after that line right there, bro, I cannot dispute that line right there, bro. And so what I would say is I would have to get in line with my brother Sampson and lock arms with him and say that, yeah, the first thing that has to happen, and my brother Enoch Muhammad, who does the hip hop detox, he does this, right? He has written an apology letter from the seniors to the young people. And everywhere he goes, he recites that piece, and everybody has to recite that word in the room. And it's powerful because the older generation hears the young generation talking to them, and vice versa, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro, you know, like we have to lock in with them and like be a part of their life, like all the way, man, like all the way, bro. Like our young people, they're strong, they're powerful, just like Sampson said. We got to give them the keys, man, and make sure that they get it. How do we restore that love in the community? I know things will be back intact when one or two things happens, right? One, when we get all brothers to understand that if I do a little, nobody has to do a lot. And it's my duty and my obligation to protect women and children. That's one. And the sign that'll show me that that is happening is when I see something that I haven't seen since I was a youngster. When I see a young man sitting inside Aldi's or sitting inside Jules on the ledge, and he asks an elder, or a mid-aged woman, can I help you with your groceries? And she say yes, and let him walk to the car. That's when I know we back on the page that we need to be on. Because when that happened when we was coming up, because the mother respected the son. She trusted him. She didn't think she was going to get hit upside the head. She didn't think she was going to get robbed. Sometimes she didn't even drive up there. She would let you carry the groceries to her house, and she'd go inside that pocket change and grab $2 or $3 and give them to you, and you run to the game room with your homies and kick it all day long. We need that back in the hood, accountability. Last thing I want to say, bro, we talk a lot, and I have to say this. I don't think I've said this on any of my platforms because, we dealing with a pandemic and we dealing with oppression coming from police, the system. But you know what, bro? I'm going to just say it like it is, right? Yo, grown men need to stand up and be accountable for in our neighborhoods. This is the reason that New Era Chicago be out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you can see our presence. That way, we're not just showing up to try to lay law down on you or stand on you. No, you see us out here moving. Now, when you see us out here moving, I guarantee you, bro, if a man get with a woman, and he used to putting his hands on her, if she ain't got no brothers, no daddy, no nothing, he freestyle and do it what he want to. But let me be her brother. Let us be her brothers. I guarantee you he'll think twice before he do that, because he know it's grown men on location. And when grown men stand up, little boys sit down. So our job is to be accountable for as men. Ain't no time off, bro. Ain't no time off. Listen when I tell you, I don't have an office. My office is the street, bro. My office is the street. And I take applications from brothers hanging out in gangways. I take applications for brothers hanging out in alleys, popping them dice off and they pointed 6, and they got the itchy on the side of their hip. Talking to them. And that's
beautiful, man. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Royce, I want to go back to mental health. With the defunding of police comes hopefully an increase, and it depends on what state's doing it, right, or what cities are doing it. There becomes an increase in funding, hopefully, for human services, right? What's the conversation that mental health professionals need to share with young people that, look, we're not trying to fix you. We can't fix you. We just want to understand what you're doing, going through, and help you along the way. Can you speak to that for us?
Brother, it's funny you say that because just started an online community here locally in Lansing called Mental Montage. And it's a group of like mental health professionals where we're trying to make an impact in our community. And that's making mental health, just basically removing the stigma and making like normal conversations. But we were talking and we talked about the young people and how coming to school, they're just going through so many different things. And in every school, they'll have like one social worker, just one social worker for like 400 or 500 kids. There's no way that you can reach every kid with that. But what I want to say is that it's hard to reach the kids because they're going through so much at home. There's so many different things going on at home. It's important for us to, and I know here in Lansing, the statistics are about 60 to 80% are single families with a woman.
That's a lot.
So you need to reach the woman. You got to talk to her because she's going through a lot. And then when you're able to reach her, now you're able to impact the kid.
Got it.
Now you're able to impact the child in a way that, okay, now they're not coming to school hungry. Why? Because mom is getting her needs taken care of. They don't have to worry about babysitting the kids because they're getting taken care of. But not just that, they have trauma. So let's develop some focus groups for the single mothers who have gone through some things, right? In the community, let's do some focus groups. Let's talk about depression. Let's talk about anxiety. Let's talk about trauma. And then also we need the community assets for like Boys and Girls Club, things like that. Like we don't have anything like that. And they need mentoring. They need strong men and women to speak life into them. and also give them a way or a venue to talk about some of the things that they're going through, because they're teenagers. But most of the teenagers have adult problems.
Absolutely.
They have adult problems, bro. So how are you supposed to be a kid, but you gotta worry about putting food on the table?
Christian Terry, Vondale, a fine example.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you got all these other issues, it's impossible for you to focus. And so that's why they numb and medicate themselves, because they got so many problems.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Brother Sampson, give me 60 seconds before we close out. One area of impact where you believe we need to move immediately and make a change in the community.
I think one area we have to get back to the collective genius. I believe that, bringing everybody to the table, I think the collective genius will move our communities, move our political officials, because everybody has input. And I think we have operated so long in silos that we have forgot that we are servants, especially political officials. I'm elected a school board member, and I'm a servant. I was elected by the people for the people. So I work for the people regardless of the system.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we got to get back to bringing everybody back to the table, and sharing input of how because everybody does. The person at the top don't have all of the answers. We got to get back to grassroots and everybody in between. Those answers, I think that's what we need to do, is to bring back this table of collective genius where everybody's input is taken into consideration, and we can move and change things, I believe, quickly if we got back to that model.
Excellent. Thank you. Brother Royce, 60 seconds. One immediate place of impact in the community where you believe we need to start to make change or be change.
In the schools, man. Just having that access for kids to be able to talk to someone about their issues and not feel like they're being judged or anything like that. And when you have that venue where they can really talk about their challenges, now they can shift their focus from those challenges to the meat, which is like learning. Like, I need to learn this. I need to learn. Why? Because I need to become successful so that I can be the next person who's in line that can make a change.
Excellent. Thank you. Brother Cooke.
Yes, sir.
90 seconds.
Real quick, brother, man. When I think about this question, bro, I'm gonna tell you honestly who popped into my head. My brother Jamal Cole, right? Because you was like, how can we change this? In my mind, I'm like, man, we gotta hit the blocks. And then Jamal, he popping into my head, right? Because it said my block.
Yes, sir.
My hood.
Yes, sir.
My city, right?
Yes, sir.
Like my block. Like that means something, right, bro? Like my block. Like I'm responsible for this, right?
Yes.
Like what can we do to make an impact right now? Man, step outside your front door, man. Take a look on the block, man. And if you see anything that need beautifying, bro, change it immediately, because it's gonna change your mood. It's gonna change your mood. And when you change the way the community look, you change the way the community act. You know what I'm saying? And when I see you, Mr. Herbert, Miss Paletti, Mr. Green, saying, cutting your grass and yelling to us, hey, stay off my grass, and you taking pride in it, I'm telling my friends when we walk, hey, get out the grass right there. That's Mr. Herbert. Hey, he ain't gonna play with the grass. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get boundaries back in for our youth, man. Men stand up, create boundaries, and step outside your house. Start by just picking the trash up, bro. If we all do a little, nobody got to do a lot.
Beautiful. Man, we thank you all for definitely chiming in with us tonight. We thank all the listeners and the viewers who are out there. I do want to piggyback off something Royce said, is that we cannot expect politicians to fix our problems, because that's not their job. We have to be accountable. Like, I know my alderman has town hall meetings. I know my alderman has a summer jam every year. It may not be this year, but because of COVID, but I know where my CAPS meetings take place. But you nailed it. can't expect them to give us solutions to our problems. We have to give them solutions to our problems, right? And so thank you, gentlemen, for chiming in. Thank you all for your comments that are out there in the social media world. I will now turn this back over to the awesome, incredible, probably the number one youth advocate I know, Mr. Vondale Singleton.
Great job, gentlemen, tonight, man. Powerful, powerful conversation. And when I'm in this space, what I'm doing is I'm learning, I'm listening, and I'm learning. Why? Is because I heard Bishop Jake say one time, shepherds need to eat too. Shepherds have to be fed too. And sometimes we have to just get into a place where we have no other motivation but to just listen and learn. And so thank you guys for filling my cup tonight. And going off what Brother Cooke just mentioned, tomorrow, this is what we talked about, activation, hitting the blocks, hitting the hood. Tomorrow, our virtual camp is going to a social distance community service event on 94th and Commercial. That's right. We're going to help Pastor Anthony Wright get his mental health facility cleaned up. Why? Is because this is the new move. This is the new wave. It's going to be okay for us to ask for help and go to a counselor that looks like us, and we can sit down and break bread and work through these issues, generational curses, generational sins of the forefathers, right? Running and streaming through our blood that we have avoided and haven't dealt with. And as a result, not only are we struggling, but our children are struggling because we didn't get the proper help. So the time of that is over. So we're meeting boots on the ground with those young men who are in the CHAMPS virtual camp to give back to our community in solidarity, right, with something that will bring value, right, that will add an asset to our community that's so needed. So again, man, we're not playing with this thing. So any little successes that we have, we celebrate them. Absolutely. We are grateful for them. But as Oral Roberts says, don't park here. We won't stop. We have a road that we must continue to follow until God calls our name. So thank y'all so much for tuning in to the virtual town hall. And remember, you're born to win in every situation in life. Peace.
Champs, all in.
All in.
All in.
All in, baby.